Happy Monday, and thank you for watching another live edition of the East West Football Podcast. I am Fidel Barraza, alongside with me, like always, Jerry Martinez, Kendall Willie. What's going on, guys?
What's going on? What's going on? Happy Monday.
Yeah, man, we're getting real close, man. I mean, shoot, football's just around the corner. It's crazy.
Yeah, just a couple weeks away from training camp. All right, but today we have a special guest. He is a 49ers content creator, Jay in the Bay. What's
Hey,
up,
what's
Jay? How you
good?
doing?
Hey, doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. I gotta say, faithful Niner Empire. What's good? You know who it is? It's your boy Jay in the Bay, and it's a pleasure to be on the East West Football Network, man. Thanks for having me on. How are you guys doing, man? Thanks for
I'm
having me
good,
on.
man. Appreciate your
It,
time.
it's awesome, Jay. For those that want to know, man, you go visit his YouTube page, and that's how he greets you, man. Faithful. If
Absolutely,
you're faithful, you're gonna go subscribe, like, and turn on all notifications, right?
absolutely.
All right, Jay, let's get right into it. So obviously, not the way the Niners wanted to end it last season, right? Losing the NFC Championship game against the eventual Super Bowl champ Los Angeles Rams. So I just want to get your thoughts on the season last year and then what you thought about the offseason.
Man, I thought it was a roller coaster type season. There was a patch where I believe we were about 3-5 or 3-6 at one point in the season, and the season was not going well, obviously. But Kyle Shanahan kept the team together. I think we had an incredible run to get into the postseason. Beating Jerry's Dallas Cowboys in Jerry World,
No,
uh,
uh,
beating the Packers in Lambeau Field. But unfortunately, we couldn't seal the deal against the Rams. So I think overall it was a pretty good season. Kyle Shanahan does not have that many winning seasons under, with the 49ers. Let's be real. That was only his second winning season out of 5 years. So I think it was a very good season. I think expectations are high this season, especially with number 5 under center.
So, Jay, obviously the biggest offseason storyline has been the quarterback situation for the Niners. Obviously, we saw Jimmy Garoppolo. He was pretty much fighting injuries all year last season. But you guys did draft Trey Lance out of North Dakota State, pretty high in the draft last year. So, now it's, everything that I've been hearing is kind of like they want Trey Lance to be the starter moving forward. But there's only one issue. Jimmy Garoppolo is still on this roster. They were going to try to trade him, but shoulder surgery obviously wiped that out. So I just want to get your thoughts on the whole quarterback situation.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. The shoulder surgery, you couldn't have a worse timing to have a shoulder surgery in the off season. Jimmy G has had a pretty good track record. He's always been a professional. He's shown good leadership at times with the 49ers. I would hate to think he would try to stick it to the 49ers right before he heads out the door with the timing of that surgery, but he was hurt and he needed to get the shoulder surgery. Unfortunately, that drastically affected his trade marketability, because who wants to trade? And got to say, what's good to Livy's World. She's a subscriber on my YouTube channel. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for tuning in, Livy's World. But that shoulder surgery was worse. You couldn't have a worse timing than have it in the offseason. Who wants to trade for a quarterback who can't even throw the ball? I believe he's been throwing for like the last 2 weeks, but let's be real, he's going to ramp it up. And who knows if he would even be really healthy for week 1 of the regular season. But number 10, he's still on the roster, and it's only because of his money, right? He's got a pretty impeccable record when you look at it. Like, quarterbacks would die to have Jimmy G's record. 36, I mean, he has 36 games won, 14 losses, been to 2 NFC championship games, 1 Super Bowl. I know he wasn't, Aaron Rodgers throwing the ball all over the field, but he was definitely a huge part in getting us to, that playoff success. So I think if he was healthy going into this offseason, I think he would have been, a player that a lot of teams would have been, or not a lot, but let's say 3 or 4 teams would have been interested in. But at this point in the season, it's looking like Jimmy G, I think he's going to eventually get released because everyone knows you got to get rid of him, right? So I won't be surprised if Jimmy G gets cut, before training camp. Training camp is July 26th, so I wouldn't be surprised if he gets cut before then.
Are you confident that Trey Lance will be able to get the job done?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason why we traded up to get him, pick number 3 overall. He showed great things at North Dakota State, And I think the element that he'll bring to this offense is he'll be able to throw the ball deep. And that's something that Jimmy G didn't really do. Whether it was Shanahan didn't trust him, Jimmy G, he doesn't like to get hit. Whether Jimmy G didn't want to, wait 4 to 5 seconds in the pocket. There are a lot of reasons why Jimmy G didn't throw the ball deep. And with Trey Lance under center, I think defenses will have to cover the entire length of the field. There won't when Jimmy G was under center, the defenders used to cover, from the line of scrimmage to about 10 yards. And that's all Jimmy G would throw, right? That's all he would throw. But with Trey Lance in there, we saw it in preseason last year. He's going to throw the ball deep. He's not afraid to stretch the field. And our wide receivers, you might have heard of them: Deebo Samuel, Brandon Aiyuk, Jawan Jennings, George Kittle. They're going to definitely benefit from Trey Lance being able to throw the ball deep. And that's something and of course, his versatility with his legs. He can run the ball as well. So we're definitely looking forward to Trey Lance. And obviously, we're still going to lean heavily on the running game because that's what Kyle Shanahan wants to do. But I think, with the talent on both sides of the ball for this 49ers team, we're going to be competing with the Rams for the NFC West division. There's no mistake about it. Speaking
of Deebo Samuel, what's going on with the whole situation? I mean, earlier in the offseason, it was like, hey, he wants out. He doesn't want to be there anymore. And then, a couple months ago, no, he's fine. He's going to stay. And then report came out last week that I saw his situation remains the same. He still does not want to be on the Niners roster. So what's the latest on the Deebo Samuel situation?
First, I got to say, what's good to Blue Truth. Thanks for tuning into the stream tonight on the East West Football Network. Appreciate your support.
We do.
But the situation hasn't really changed with Deebo. I think Deebo got bad advice from his agent. And, Deebo Samuel's agent is also the same agent of, I think, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, and also A.J. Brown, I believe. So, they're all going through their own contract negotiations this offseason. And I think his agent told him, hey, let's make a fuss. There's a saying, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. And that's what Deebo did this offseason. I'm sure there were a lot of fans that were turned off by Deebo's antics, especially, deleting all your 49er stuff on social media. Like, who does that? But I guess that's what the new kids do today.
That's a trend. Yeah,
I guess so. I mean, Kyler Murray did it as well for the Cardinals. I hear they're working on a contract extension with him. But, the situation hasn't really changed. We can't really sign Deebo to a long-term extension. And I think he's definitely due for it. He had an all-pro season this year. He has battled some injuries with the 49ers. But let's be real. Deebo has no leverage. He's not going to sit out this season. He'll lose an accrued year as a player, and he'll be back in the same situation next year. Deebo is scheduled to earn the most out of his rookie contract. I think it's like $4.6 million, something like that. But I expect a Deebo Samuel contract extension to get done soon as Jimmy G is cut. And also, the 49ers have really signed their big-name free agents, Fred Warner, George Kittle. It's really happened in August. Like, for some reason, Niners love to do it during that time. But I think Deebo will be a 49er for years to come. There's no way in hell the 49ers are trading him. And just because a player, asks to be traded, it doesn't mean you have to capitulate to his demands. I mean, this is a business. Like, it makes no sense for the 49ers to trade their best player. It makes no sense whatsoever. So I think Deebo, I don't blame him for saying, hey, I don't want to be here if they don't want to pay me what I'm worth. I don't blame him for that. But I think once the contract is signed, Deebo will be all smiles.
All right, Jay. Thank you.
Hey, Jay, what's going on with you? Appreciate you joining us tonight.
Hey, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. Hey, man, I want to piggyback on what you said to Fidel about the running backs in the first segment. What you think about Elijah Mitchell, his performance last year? I think he came out of nowhere, played pretty good at running back.
Yeah, I mean, Elijah Mitchell, he was a 7th round pick of the 49ers. And he turned out to be the best running back on this team. Raheem Mostert was here last year, but he got hurt the first game of the season. And we did not anticipate that Elijah Mitchell would have such a pivotal role in this offense. But that's what happens when you have injuries. But Elijah Mitchell, the only knock on him was that he only played 11 games. He was very injury prone. But that's why we kind of bulked up the running game this offseason by getting Ty Davis-Price out of LSU I think that was the 3rd round. But I like the 1-2 punch. We got like 5 or 6 running backs, and the running back room is always going to be a lot of competition, especially with Kyle Shanahan. I mean, you guys have seen his dad. They had success with no-name running backs, Mike Anderson, Portis was probably the most recognized running back, but there was other guys. I said Mike Anderson, Tatum Bell. There's a whole list of guys in Denver that have been successful under this, this zone scheme running game. And I think we'll have continued success with that with the other running backs we have. We drafted Trey Sermon as well. And 2 years ago, he didn't really do much last year. He was injured. And he's coming back refreshed and he's ready to contribute. So, there's going to be at least, 4 to 5 running backs deep in this running back room, and it's going to be very, very competitive.
What can Brandon Aiyuk be at his peak if he's at his best? How do you think he can be at his peak? We've seen him in different spurts at times. We've seen glimpses of it, but what do you think a peak Brandon Aiyuk looks like?
A peak Brandon Aiyuk, I don't think he'll be a number 1 wide receiver on this team with Deebo Samuel, but I think he could be a great number 2 option. I could easily see, maybe 8 touchdowns, 60 catches. He can get over 1,000 receiving yards, but Jimmy G and Aiyuk, they didn't really have a good rapport. Aiyuk he wasn't really feeling Jimmy G. But I think the rapport between Trey Lance and Aiyuk will definitely catapult Aiyuk's numbers because he's been solid so far. He hasn't been great, but I think he's been a pretty good receiver, and I think his production will increase with number 5 under center. So I think, he can definitely be a pretty good number 2 wide receiver for this offense.
Appreciate it, Jay.
Absolutely.
It was tough, man. It's tough to to be able to stay sane for me, as a Cowboys fan, talking with somebody that loves the 49ers. For whatever reason, last year just rekindled that whole nostalgia of being rivals, right? At one point. And I mean, man, we go back and we look at those 90s, what we had great coaches, right?
Yeah.
I think Cowboys had Jimmy Johnson still in the fold in the first couple of meetings. You guys had George Seifert, right?
Yeah.
So if you look at it, that like I was saying, it came back. But let me ask you about your 49ers, man. Do you think, they don't really talk about this in mainstream media. This is more where we kind of, we talk about this ourselves, right? Like, have you bought in that maybe Cal Shanahan cannot win the big one? Because there was that chatter that people said like, oof, this doesn't look good, man. I mean, look, he lost one in Atlanta when they had the lead. What was it, 30 something to? It's a crazy score, right?
Yeah.
So, do you feel that the faithful have the right coach to lead them to a Super Bowl?
Absolutely. And just a quick side note on that rivalry, I mean, the Niners and Cowboys, they hadn't played in the playoffs since I think 94, 95 season. So it had been 20 plus years since the Niners and Cowboys have played, and there's no doubt there was extra juice on that game, that's for sure. Especially with Micah Parsons. I'll never forget this when he said, where I'm from, we bully the bullies. I was like, okay, we'll see what all that's about. But there's no doubt Niners and Cowboys rivalry renewed. That was a hell of a game. But there's no doubt. There are the naysayers. With the Atlanta Falcons, he wasn't the head coach. So, I mean, how much blame can you give him? Yes, he was calling the offensive plays, but you can call the best play, but the players at the end of the day, they have to execute that play. In versus the Chiefs in the Super Bowl, hey, if our defense could have played better, if Jimmy could have made that throw to Emmanuel Sanders, it's like one play. If Jaquiski Tart would have caught that interception against the Rams this past season, so it's like, but there's no doubt Kyle Shanahan, he's one of the best play designers in the NFL. I think he gets the most out of the talent that we have at our disposal. And the York ownerships of the 49ers, they rewarded Shanahan and Lynch, I believe it was 2 seasons ago, with contract extensions. So Shanahan's not going anywhere. And I think we have the right quarterback under center who can, win the big game. And that's what it's come down to. I know a lot of people talk about Jimmy G, and he's not an elite quarterback. He's not trash either, though. I think he's at his best, he's above average. But I think Jimmy G has taken this team as far as he can go. And that's why we ended up trading up to get Trey Lance. But yeah, I can't speak for all the faithful, but I am still confident in Kyle Shanahan. I think he can get the job done because we've had, when Jimmy G was healthy, hey, we had success in the playoffs. And then when he wasn't, the season was basically lost. So, I believe in Kyle Shanahan, and I think he's got what it takes to take us to that next level and win the big game.
I have like a series of questions, right? But the way I guess I'll sum it up would be, what is in that 49ers coaching staff, man? Like what's in there, man? I mean, we're seeing defensive coordinators become defensive coordinators. What was what was LaFleur? I think he was a running
Yeah,
back,
like a running back coordinator,
like a
or something
running
like
back
that.
coach or something
Yeah.
like that. So like you see what I'm talking about, right? And
Yeah.
then Robert Saleh, now the head coach. So that's the first question, because I want to know your thoughts, how you can see the Jets. But before we get to the Jets, tell me what are your thoughts on the D'Amico Ryans as the defensive coordinator for the 49ers? Because wow,
I think he's done a hell of a job so far. He had big shoes to fill with replacing Robert Saleh, who had
yes,
a pretty good stint as a defensive coordinator, and now he's the head coach with the New York Jets. So I like Shanahan's coaching tree. I like how he brings former players in. He gives them opportunity to coach. And speaking of 49ers coaches, we got 14 new coaches this offseason. And I don't remember the last time there were that many coaches who had left. Obviously, you got Mike McDaniel. Of course, he's going to take a head coaching job with the Miami Dolphins, of course. But then he took along Wes Welker, who's our wide receiver coach. He took along, I believe his last name's Embry. He was our tight end coach. But successful franchises, other franchises see that, and they want to pluck from that coaching tree. And it's smart. I think it's a great problem to have. If we have another great defensive season, like I think we will, I think D'Amico Ryans will be gone. He'll have a head coaching opportunity, and then we'll have to bring up someone else. So, like I said, it's a great problem to have, but it'll be interesting to see, how this coaching tree performs, because one huge coaching addition, one of the few was special teams coordinator Brian Schottenheimer. We had one of the worst special teams last year. Obviously, it came up big against the Packers, but throughout this season, it was pretty bad.
yeah.
So he comes over from Seattle, and Seattle has had pretty good special teams. Seattle actually had a fake punt touchdown against us in the regular season. So he was a huge addition, and also getting, I don't know why his name is escaping me right now. But he's the running back coach. He was head coach of the Chargers. He was with the Bills. Anthony Lynn, that's who it is. Anthony Lynn. So he comes over, and if you look at Anthony Lynn's track record, his running backs have always performed well. And I think he'll just add his expertise. He's another coach under Shanahan who's been a head coach. He's been in certain scenarios. So I think this coaching staff has been bolstered, you could argue, this offseason. So I think this coaching staff will take on the challenge, and we'll be ready to go.
It makes sense. I mean, we got what, year 2 now with Robert Saleh and Mike LaFleur, right? The brother of Matt LaFleur, who was also part of the 49ers head coaching staff. So let's get out of your team for just that one moment. I mean,
Sure.
If you look at what they did, I mean, they're kind of like the talk of the town with the hot shot quarterback, and man, the good. The Jets, I think, had one of them draft classes that is like, wow, very impressive, right? They added key pieces to what they've been solidly building up as a future team. And Kendall, obviously, you can see behind him. I mean,
Patriots.
yeah, they're gonna have to go against Patriots twice a year. What do you think, man? I mean, what kind of forecast do you see the Jets? Is this gonna work out, or what are your honest thoughts?
Are they a playoff team? Probably not. I mean, I don't know really what to think of Zach Wilson. He didn't really impress me last year, but he's a rookie quarterback. They've definitely added some talent to that roster. But I think Robert Saleh has an uphill battle for sure. And then you got to look at the division. I mean, the Patriots have owned that division for a while. going back to TB12. And then the Dolphins, I don't really believe in Tua either, but, they added Tyreek Hill in the offseason. And I think the Dolphins played pretty well like the back half of last year. I think they were on a pretty solid winning streak. So it's going to be an uphill battle for the Jets, that's for sure. Maybe they win 6 or 7 games at most, but I don't see a playoff, run for them.
Yeah, I don't see them with a playoff run, but I mean, it's just always interesting, right, to see what others think of other teams like this that are in that rebuilding stage, and you've seen their coaching staff. I have them 4 to 7 more on the 4 win game season, but we shall see, man. Yep. Good luck to you and the rest of the faithful to the 49ers. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure, man, talking football with you.
Real quick, Jay, was you one of the 49 fans that wanted Mac Jones last year?
No, hell no. Hell no. Because I think he's Jimmy G 2.0. And I don't think you trade up that many picks to get another, stationary quarterback. I think you bet the farm, you bet big on the guy who's mobile. Because we've seen Kyle Shanahan have success with a quarterback like RG3. His rookie year, I think he won Offensive Rookie of the Year. I don't know if Trey Lance will do that, but I mean, he has a track record of having success with mobile quarterbacks, and obviously who has strong arms. So, and it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me on tonight on East West Football. I'm looking forward to us linking up again in the future, man.
Yeah. Hey, Jay, before we let you go, I just want to get your predictions on the 2022 season for the Niners.
Absolutely. So I have the Niners, I would say 11 or 12 wins. And I think a long playoff run. And I think it'll be another Rams, Niners, possibly NFC Championship game. But yeah, I see 11 or 12 wins. We're going to rely heavily on the running game. I can't wait to see what this defense does. I think one of our weakest points of the defense last year was our secondary, our corners. I mean, you guys heard the name Josh Norman, right? I mean, he ain't too good, and we picked him up, off the street basically. Because we had so many injuries in that secondary, but we added Charvarius Ward, a corner from the Kansas City Chiefs who's played huge games with the Chiefs. We know the Chiefs have been successful with Pat Mahomes. So I think that was our number one weakness was the secondary. We added talent to that area. One thing I would say, though, that I am concerned about is the offensive line. Alex Mack retired, our center. Lincoln Tomlinson, Pro Bowl worthy guard last year. He went to the Jets. So we'll see what the interior of our offensive line does. But, if we can solidify that, and that'll happen in training camp, because you really don't know what you have until the pads come on. But, that's my only concern is the interior offensive line. Everything else, I think, we're good to go. So, yeah, I would say 11 or 12 wins for sure.
All right, Jay, just want to say thank you for joining us on the show. Real quick, where can our listeners and viewers follow you on social media?
Hey, man, appreciate it again. I can't wait to come back on the East West Football Network, man. And you can find me on YouTube, IG, and Twitter under Jay in the Bay. And I just talk about, the latest 49ers news. I have post-game live streams, pre-game live streams. So, if you're a 49er fan, you enjoy talking about the faithful, hey, come to my channel, subscribe, hit that bell, and enjoy, man.
All right, Jay, appreciate you coming on the show, and we look forward to catching up with you during the season.
Absolutely, man. You guys have a good rest of your day.
And thank you, everyone out there, for watching and listening. Have a great night. We'll talk to you soon.